Hello, Synchronauts. Alright, this is a video that's been requested, which is the instructions or demonstration of how to set up FidoNet with Synchronet on Windows. First thing, I noticed this is a fresh Synchronet version 3.17b install on a Windows 10 laptop. And I noticed that when I run the configuration utility that the window's pretty small here. You get kind of a small default font. And I just want to kind of start off with a tip on how you can fix that issue if you want this bigger. Because if you try to go in here, like you right click, you go properties and you say font and default's 8 by 12 and you go, I want it really big, 10 by 20. Oh, look, it worked. That's funny. So before I was getting a permission issue, and the resolution there was just to find the location of this, or not the control panel, but the configuration program here, and right click, run as administrator, and then now I can change the font. 8 by 20, 10 by 20. Yeah, no error. Okay, but for whatever reason it's working from here now. Okay, so this is a stock configuration. So when I run the config and I go to networks FidoNet, this is the default setup, and you'll notice there's no addresses in here. So what this means is you log into the BBS, and if you try to send netmail, for example, so I go in, I type FidoNet address, no netmail allowed. The very first thing you need to do is figure out what network are you in, what region are you in, what zone are you in. So if you don't know, you can go to fidonet.org, this website here, and currently they only have a link to zone 1, but there's some policy documents in here and kind of explain some really old documentation about how to actually join FidoNet. I think all of this is very out of date. But if you go to the Zone 1 link, you get this lovely website. And you have an apply link here. So it's telling you got to read this document, this policy document. You're required to demonstrate a basic operational system that can accept and process netmail. So that's just person-to-person private, like email, but over FidoNet. And you have to be able to do that, for Zone 1 anyway. Before you even do that, though, you need to know what network are you in based on your geographic location. Maybe it doesn't matter, but anyway, there is an application form. So here's contact form, and you can send, I think this is what Nick Andre's website. So you're probably just sending him an email or a form, and you put in your name, and you can say, hey, I need a FidoNet contact. I need a hub, so I need to know what network I'm in, who my uplink is going to be. Once you know that, you start with a temporary FidoNet address. It's going to be a zone, like zone 1 for North America, colon, net, that's the network, whatever network you're in, it's a number, slash 9999. So if you're in like the Synchronet configuration utility, networks, FidoNet, system addresses, and you're going to put in your zone. So like I said, 1 is an example. I'm going to use net 103. That happens to be Orange County, California. And then a temporary node number, which is 9999. So now you have a FidoNet address. And that's really the only thing you have to set up in SCFG to start off with. So now our BBS will recycle as soon as I log off. And you'll see BBS is reloading the configuration. Log back in. So now I can send netmail. No. So I'm going to say sysop at 1:1:103/705. That is my address, Vertrouwen's address. Don't ask me to be your hub. I'm not a FidoNet hub. I'm just using this as an example. Hello. I need to feed from you the, oops, what was that? Please. Alright, so now netmail has been created. You can actually see it if you go K. I can see the netmail message I sent here. Some weird pasted text I didn't mean to paste in there. But that's a good call out to the eChicken. So now, no events ran as a course of that. So I'm going to double check the configuration and see if we have binkit installed. So you're going to need some timed events if you don't already have them set up. Okay, we have FidoNet in and out. Good. So that should run when there's new outbound echo mail. Let me see here. And we don't have binkit installed. So binkit is a FidoNet mailer. It's not installed by default in version 3.17b apparently. So the way you do that is you go to a command prompt and then we say jsexec binkit install. Alright, so it created two timed events, bink out and bink pull. See those here? So now if I exit out the configuration, come back in, oh look, now I have two timed events, bink out and bink pull. These are for outbound BINC-P connections. Binkley protocol is what that stands for. That is the modern protocol used for FidoNet communications on the internet today. And this is using a mailer written in JavaScript by Deuce. Rock on. And it's very simple configuration. Out is for sending mail, and pull is to reach out and ask your hub, do you have mail for me? To support incoming connections, you would need a service. So that's here on the services configuration. We can go to services and check and see if BINC-P is there. It is, but it's not enabled. So we probably want to enable that. There. Now we can accept incoming connections using the BINC-P protocol. We can tell that that's working because right here, BINC-P is listening. Good. So we have incoming, outgoing, BINC-P. This isn't going to recycle until I log off. Back to timed events. So bink out, timed event ran, and there's no Fido outbound directory. Okay, it's probably because SBBS echo has not run. For fun, we'll do force timed event, and we'll run Fido out. That's the default configured event for exporting FidoNet mail. So that netmail message I created, that should get exported when we run that. Oh, it's probably disabled. Fido out. Enabled, set to no. There we go. So that needs to be enabled. And while you're at it, you want Fido in enabled. Yes. So in and out. So those two events, although they existed, they weren't enabled. So now we're going to save changes. All right. Fido out returned 1, an error. Probably because there's no area file. So if you want to find out the issue, it's going to be a log file. Data, space echo. Oh, a 0-byte file. Insufficient free disk space. Ah, so you notice that this is the default outbound directory, and it doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and create the outbound. So you see there's an error here. So it was not able to open this areas.bbs file. simplest thing to do there is just create it a 0-byte file. There. Alright, so it created a netmail message for 103.705 and put it into an outbound, and then it went and delivered it. So I successfully sent a netmail message. So if I log on to Vertrauen, hey look, I got netmail. So that's how you prove that your system is capable of sending netmail. I could even reply to it. And now, if I pull from my BBS, this new default BBS, so force a timed event, we'll do a bink pull. It should grab that netmail message that's sitting there waiting, and didn't. We haven't run echo config. So this is the configuration utility for SBBS Echo. And you notice how many linked nodes in here. So it doesn't know who to pull. So I'm going to put in your hub address, which for this test is mine. And then bink p settings, pull set to no by default. Let me set that to yes. Alright. Let's try it again. Ta-da! Okay, once your hub sets you up as a link, that means that they're prepared to give you echo mail. And I'm going to send an area fix or area manager request to my hub. So area fix at 1:103.705. The password that we agreed upon. And then I'm going to say %help. And then that message should go out. It is automatically. So you see it's connecting here. Oh, couldn't create the nonsecure directory. Well, let's make sure we have a non-secure directory. And then try this again. I don't think it's going to work though. I think we lost that mail. Yep, now I got it. Cool. And then Fido inran. Nice. And if I look at my sbbs echo.log, alright, imported some netmail. So, log in. Oh, here's my area fix response message. So to my address from my hub's address, 705, and this is an automated response to the area fix message we sent, which was the help request. If we want to just attach to all the echo areas, all the message areas, you can use this command right here, %+all. Connect all available areas. And so we'll do that. Area fix at 1:103.705 %+all. So it's saying, give me all you got. You'll notice that mail goes out right away. And it's being processed on the hub. He's got to go and get all the mail and pack it up, put it in bundles, and files for us to get on our next connect. So now we can pull again. We'll at least probably have some of that mail. At least get a netmail response to that area fix request. There we go. SBBS Echo probably already ran. Yep. Got more net mail. There's another net mail message. All right. So this is a response to our area fix request net mail message. It's showing all the areas that were added or linked, really, but added to our configuration. Now, I don't have the areas here. Like I don't have FidoNet, any place to put those messages when they do finally come in. So you want to do that. You'll want to go to your message areas, create a FidoNet group. Yeah, that's enough for now, configuration. And then we'll want to tell EchoConfig that our hub is the hub for that message group. So going back into EchoConfig, link nodes, go to this node, see where it says uplink for message groups. So we're saying this hub is the uplink for the FidoNet group. Okay, save changes. And then if we do another poll, we might get messages, might get actual bundles of mail. We got a packet. Let's see what SBBS Echo says about that. Ooh, unauthenticated Echo mail. And the reason is because it came into the unsecure directory, nonsecure. See this nonsecure session type here? Okay, so you can't get Echo mail non-secure. And so that means we have to set up a session password. We do that link nodes up here, session password. There we go. Obviously make it a good password. Now your hub has to agree with that password. You have to have the same password on both sides. And once that's set up, I should get my files from it into the secure inbound rather than the non-secure. So let's try another poll. Okay, authentication was successful, secure, but I didn't get any files. The reason is because there's no new mail received between this time and this time. So if I want to receive all new mail, or all the old mail, let's say, I want to receive all the old mail, I can send a rescan. So if I look at that help, area manager, see this rescan here? I can send a message. I can either rescan all the connected areas or just a certain area, or I'll do all. What the heck? So, I'm sorry, area fix. So do %rescan. This is going to get a lot of mail. It's connecting. It's sending. Sent the mail just fine. It's not going to know how to connect to my system, so I'm going to have to poll again. But giving it a little bit of time to actually pack up some of that mail. All right, let's try a poll. So I don't have a Fido inbound directory. Fido, I sure don't. Okay, there we go. So now you can see, now that I created the inbound, it's working. Pretty sure these are all bugs that have been since fixed, but I want to demonstrate the latest release, which is from over a year ago. So you can see now it's successfully receiving these packets. And these are uncompressed mail packets, as opposed to bundles, which are collections of packets in an archive like a zip file. It's receiving a whole bunch, so we're going to get a lot of mail. So after this runs, then our SBBS echo, which is the mail tosser echo mail program, needs to run, and it's going to try to import these. Now, it's not going to know about any of these message areas. It's just going to throw away all the mail. So at the very least, we want a bad echo area. And the way you set that up, so let's go into FidoNet subboards. So unknown, and then in our area file, there it is. So it's FidoNet unknown, and then star. There. So if you don't know the format of this file, off the top of your head, go to the Synchronet wiki, and then go to utilities, SBBS echo, area file, the format, code, tag, link, tag, bad echo area. If an echo's areas tag is an asterisk. So that's why I did that. I wanted to have a bad echo area. So that's kind of going to throw all your echo mail for an unknown area into that subboard, which we already created in SCFG. Right here, FidoNet unknown. Okay, everything's spelled correctly. Yes, yes. Okay, and I'm purposely not setting the network options yet. Normally you don't want to do. Oh, it isn't. It knows it's a FidoNet. It says it's not echo mail though. So let's see if that works. Still downloading lots of packets. So had I not done that areas.bbs change where I added the unknown echo, all these messages would have just been discarded because it wouldn't have had a place to put them. And I didn't go and create all the areas because I want to demonstrate something. What I could have done is downloaded a file, which you can't find on here, strangely enough, is the FidoNet backbone. So if you find your way here, or you get to another list of echo areas, this is another option. You could save this file onto your local hard disk, and then in SCFG, you could import areas. You could say, from backbone.na, and then you could put in the path to that file, wherever it is. But I'm not going to do that, because maybe it's not FidoNet, maybe they don't have an echo listing. Alright, so we're done downloading our packets. SBBS echo, I see, is running. Why is it filtering? Oh, it's filtering based on age. I can see that. So a lot of these old messages are getting filtered. So the reason why it's doing that is there's a setting in echo config, echo mail, maximum age of imported echo mail right here, 60 days. So by default, it's going to ignore any message older than 60 days. So let's check and see if we're getting messages in this area. Oh, look at that. Tons of messages. Okay. So we have them, but they're all in the same message area, just called unknown here. What also should have been created is a bad areas list. See this file here? So if we look at this file, it's a list of all the areas that were not recognized in the imported packets. So what we can do is just import this file into SCFG. So go into SCFG, FidoNet, import areas, bad areas.list, 32 areas. So now if we go to subboards, there we go. Now they don't have great names, but at least they're there. Exit out. And now what we can do, if you look at SBBS echo, you have a command line option here to retoss from the bad echo area. That's what this -R option does. So now if we do that, -R, it's going to move the messages from the bad echo area into this other areas that we created in SCFG. So now you see I have all these areas. I'm going to change this filter level here. Just change it, just disable it so there's no max age. Save changes. Let's go and run that again. So I think it's more unknowns now. Yeah. I got in there. All connected areas we have been rescanned. Yeah. Let's try this. Let's try importing that bad echo areas file again. So I added 5 areas. So let's do a rescan, or sorry, a retoss. But oh, look at that, getting some echoes, getting some echo mail. So let me double check my configuration here. See if I have like the Fido test area. Probably do. Fido test. All right. So if you want to post a test message, Fido test is a good place if you're on FidoNet. So Fido test. It should export that one echo mail message. And if you like look at the bottom of the SBO's echo log, you see here that it exported one echo mail message. Okay. And so now I can log on to the hub BBS, go into that same echo, Fido test, there it is, 65. Hey, look at that. So there you go, round trip echo mail. This demonstrated how to use the bad areas file. Like I said, you could have also imported a echo list first. And there's lots of other things you can do when you're feeding other nodes and you're transferring files over FidoNet. I didn't deal with any of that, so we can do that at a later time. So, till next time. Okay, a little addendum here. So a couple things I wanted to show you. In SCFG, under Networks, FidoNet, you want to set your default origin line. It's okay if you don't, it's legal, but it'd be good if you very least put your BBS name in here. And you do not have to have your address here, for example. Although that does end up being part of your origin line, it's automatically put in there by SBBS Echo, so you don't need to put your FidoNet address there, or that would be redundant. Probably a good idea to put your host name or IP address of your BBS, something like that. SBBS Echo will automatically add that to your messages as they're exported to the network, so you won't see them on the messages on your BBS. There is a way to look at it using the I command from the reading messages prompt or from the main menu, but yeah, the messages themselves don't get the origin line until they're exported to the network. So on other systems. Another thing I wanted to show you was you probably don't want to use that bad areas method of importing your initial set of echoes or message areas on FidoNet. So let me give you a better example of how to do that from scratch. So like you create your FidoNet group and your internal code prefix, that's what the file names will end up being named with that prefix on there. So that default is fine. You could shorten it if you like, but can't make it any longer. 8 characters is the max. So initially you're going to have no subwords in here. So I do recommend creating that unknown area that we had previously, and that'll also serve as a good template for the rest of your subwords as you import areas. So that would be like, unknown here. And then in your area file, it would, it'd look like I showed you earlier. like that. Let's pretend you're not going to do that. Let's say you didn't want an unknown area. So that's kind of like your catch bin for all the areas that your system's not configured for, but your hub is actually sending you. So let's say you don't expect that to happen. So instead, you'd go import areas, and earlier I showed you how to download that backbone.na file, and then you need to put in the path for it. So if I just do that, it's not gonna know where to find it. So I do have to give it the full path to that file. In this case, it's going to be users rob downloads. There. So it imported 200 message areas. So that's currently what's on the FidoNet Zone 1 backbone. So if you go into subboards, and now you have these nice long names as well. So they're not just that echo tag, but you know this part, but you also get this long descriptive name. And let's check the network options. Oh, they're not set to echo mail. So you need to turn that on. I think that's been fixed in newer versions of SCFG, but I'll make sure that's on. And then we'll do the old clone options. Yes. So now all the subboards should have that echo mail turned on here. Yes. The other thing you might want to do is increase your maximum number of messages. Default's 500. Maybe make that something more like 5,000, so you can go back a lot further. If you probably want duplicate checking enabled so that you automatically reject duplicate messages. So you do that by setting that value to some other number, like 10,000. You know, actually, whatever subboard you have set up the way you like. So, like, let's say this is the one I liked. Then I could make that the template. So down here, say template for new subs. Yes. So now it's going to get an asterisk next to it there. And now when I clone, it's going to clone from the template sub. So if I go and I look at any of these other subboards, they're going to have that 5,000, the 10,000. So that's how I use that clone option. If you don't have a template sub, it picks the first sub. But since I had a template specified here, you can only have one template per group. And then that's the one it'll use when you're creating new subboards and when you are cloning options. So it doesn't clone everything, just like all these access requirements and these other settings get cloned. And if you really want to, you can override like the origin line here. You could have a separate custom origin line for every area. You don't need to do that. And you could also override your FidoNet address. You don't need to do that. Unless you've got multiple networks, you know, like FSXNet or something, in addition to FidoNet, then you might want to get into where you're using a custom address per group. But right now, you're only in zone 1, and you only need that one address, and it's just going to pick it automatically from here. It's going to say, oh, it's FidoNet. You didn't override the default, so that's the default address. Now, if you have more than one address, let's say you were in another network, you're probably going to have another zone number. It's going to be a higher zone. It's going to be like higher than 6. Zones 1 through 6 are for FidoNet. So you'd be like zone 21, let's say, for FSXNet, 10/ something like that. And that's called your AKA, or also known as. So your primary address would probably be your FidoNet address, and then your AKA would be that zone 21 address. All right, so in this case now we've got the complete backbone in our message configuration here, 200 areas. But if I look at this areas.bbs file, I actually only have 39 areas in there. So I don't have them all listed. That means that SBBS Echo is not going to know in which message area to put which messages from FidoNet. It's not going to correlate those echo tags with the message subs. So the way to get that containing all your areas is now we're going to export the areas. We'll say export it to the SBBS Echo area file. And then who's your uplink? In my example case, I'm using 103.705. Don't do that. Don't use that address, but I'm doing that for this example. And then the path, that's the default name for the area file. And I'm just going to overwrite the whole file. 200 areas exported. So now when I do like that same word count on here, oh, look, 200 of them in there. Okay, so now we see they're all listed. We've got the subcode, the echo tag, and the address of our uplink. There's no unknown area, so if you wanted to add that unknown area, you could do that manually. like I showed you before, using the asterisk in place of the echo tag here. I think we're all set up now. So if any messages came in for any of these echoes, they would go into these subboards, and any new messages posted locally will be exported to this address here. Okay. I think by default they're sorted alphabetically. It look kind of strange though. So if you wanted to resort it, you could. Say sort by the long name. Long name is that description we see here. So now we've resorted the areas. This is how the order they'll show up in your BBS by default. The next step would be to send an area fix to your hub to turn them on. I already showed you how to do that with that area fix netmail message. Area fix is how you communicate with your hub in an automated manner. You're kind of sending messages to his robot, his area manager that's going to parse your netmail messages that you've sent directed to it. And you can add and remove, link, unlink echoes. You can do other things too, change your archive type and things like that, configuration settings remotely. You can do that all automated. You just need your area fix password, so make sure you've set that up with your hub ahead of time. Let me look at some echo config settings. Okay, so binkit, the mailer we're using, is a Binkley style outbound BSO or flow style mailer. That's what this is. You probably don't want to change that to the other ARC attached style mailer. Really, no modern mailers use that other format. So stick with Binky, stick with binkit, or BinkD is the other popular mailer. The original BinkP implementation. So log level tells you how much log information you want in your sbbs echo.log file. Debugging is everything. And then everything, these higher levels mean less information in the log. So if you want extreme verbosity, turn on debugging. You have configurable timestamp format, and that'll tell you more details about all the options here. F1 I pressed. You can also click this question mark. And all this stuff's covered on the wiki, all these options here. Probably want to leave them all alone. There's your sysop name. Maybe you want to set that to your real name. By default, it's going to use your alias, whatever you have set in SCFG. So it's going to use whatever you have set in here, system operator. So like I just have Rob here. So if I wanted, say, to advertise over BinkP my full name, I can put my full name here. And then probably don't need to change any of the other settings. Again, link nodes, I showed that node configuration. So by default, it's going to, if it's a zone 1 address, really zones, let me see, here's the domain. Yeah, this is probably how you can look that up. So FidoNet, zones 1 through 6. And it's going to use that binkp.net so to look up the address. So that's how it was able to connect to my system automatically. Notice I didn't need a node list. I haven't used a node list in 25 years. So I send netmail routed by default. If I need to send it direct, I have a link set up for people, or it uses the BinkP lookup like this. You don't need a node list. You can have one if you want. You can deal with that, but you don't strictly need one. Anyway, this is all default configuration here, but what this says is that any zone between 1 and 6 is implicitly FidoNet, and it can use this binkp.net domain name to do a reverse lookup and find the IP address to connect to for all those addresses. So you can use like nslookup, you can say f705.n103.z1.binkp.net. So it's kind of backwards. The zone is last, then the network comes before that, and then the FidoNet node number is first. So f node number.n network number.z zone number.binkp.net. And look at that. It tells me, oh, that's vert.synchro.net. It's my board, and this is my IP address. That's how it finds the actual IP address that it needs to look up. You have to be in the node list for that to happen in the first place. So you do need a valid FidoNet address for people to find you, and you do need to be in the node list. But you don't need a node list yourself if everybody you're connecting to is available in zones 1 through 6 and has an address listed in the binkp.net domain. One thing I guess I should probably cover is the logging. So a lot of people on Windows especially, they go, hey, where's my log output from binkit? So it's split. It's going to be in the events tab here for outbound connections. So you can see here now it's polling the hub and pulling down a bunch of packets. And this doesn't go to disk, so you have to use the control panel to view the log. And for inbound connections, that's going to be a service. So that'll be over here in this tab or this window. And so any incoming connections would show up over here. So where you find the log output depends on whether you're looking for an incoming session or an outgoing session. And since this temporary address I'm using is not in any node list, I wouldn't expect any incoming connections. I certainly did not set up a firewall to let through any connections to this machine anyway on the port. If you do want to set up incoming connections and you are behind a firewall or a network address translation, you're going to need to forward this port number, this TCP port number here, 24554. That's going to have to be forwarded, just like all the other services of the BBS, Telnet, HTTP, SSH, whatever you're using and have enabled. You'll need to forward this port to your BBS machine. Okay, I think that covers it. So, see you on FidoNet.